now. Got to do all these things. I'm vertical live, meaning I'm on my cellular phone. Where's my vertical live stream here? Am I live on here? What? Oh, yes. It's messaging me. Let's do this. Okay. This is retarded. Oh shit, I need to plug my computer in. Car culture. Why is car culture? Shh. Hey, it's already. What? Yo. Oh. Thought you were in front. No, I'll be right out because I didn't start yet. It's live, but it's not live yet. Next. What's going on? I'm excited for this. here. Virginia, go for it. All right, we're good. We're all ready. All right, we're live. We are live. This post is the crock. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. All right. Thank you all for tuning in on this vertical live. We've reached and surpassed 10,000 subscribers, which is awesome because I haven't been doing the YouTube marketing thing for a long time, maybe even less than 6 months. So it's a pretty big feat as an independent filmmaker and someone who is looking to get his movies seen by you guys to develop this audience, his community, and to yeah, make movies that matter to awaken society with purposeful entertainment. And thanks to you guys, that's happening, and I'm super grateful. There's a bunch of things I want to talk about today. The Pope recently passed, and it's a big thing in our culture, in our society, as is religion, as is our collective makeup of all of our morals and values throughout the evolution of time by way of religion. And even some of the worst, most chaotic things have happened in the name of religion, a false sense of religion. But there's a few things I wanted to talk to you guys about because I was going to make videos about this, but some of these topics, I don't know if the algorithm doesn't fancy them or what, but I still they still mean something to me. So I want to talk today, Junior. I want to talk to you guys about them live. So I have an idea for the most awesome movie ever. One of the most awesome movies. I like to talk to you guys about my concepts and ideas, and I always like to pull from reality. And with the Pope passing, it made me want to talk about this even more. So I had written this copy not too long ago, actually last week probably. I want to talk about Jesus' true birth. And this will be interesting for anyone of any faith. Doesn't matter if you believe in Christianity or any sort of religion. You don't have to. This is just a really great story. It really is. Someone just left because they didn't like the word religion, but it's okay. So imagine if Jesus was a child of rape or infidelity. Could you imagine that? Rather than the supernatural stories that we've been ingrained to believe and to know and to not question. If you're a devout Catholic or Christian and you're offended by this, just stay with me, okay? I'm touching upon this because I feel it would make the ultimate movie and even be people's favorites like Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ. Now, again, this isn't a religious channel or a faith-based channel, but my channel definitely has a deep spiritual essence to it because I promote unity and a healthier society by my movies and by my creations. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes I talk about dicks, pussies, and all these crazy, dirty George Carlin-esque, like humorous notes, but there's a deep emotional depth to this channel and to my films as a filmmaker at Loayza Studios. So again, with the Pope's passing, I want to talk about this topic because I feel it make the ultimate movie. Because just as we make movies that matter. You know, we talk about topics that matter and how it's affected our culture on this channel. And movies that showcase these concepts add a dimension to our world that is just indescribable. You know, this is intended to open your minds to the actual kingdom of heaven and truly embody Jesus' rebellious teachings and open-mindedness. But don't leave, because if this doesn't interest you, the next topic we're going to talk about is going to definitely interest you. And just stay tuned. So forget about the miracle of the virgin birth. This is my pitch. This is my pitch of this movie to you. And you let me know what you think about this. Forget about it. Forget about Immaculate Conception. Forget about all that stuff. I'm convinced, I'm so convinced that Jesus was born a human. Not of supernatural powers or any sort of mutant-like entities, Wolverine-like characteristic traits, but the kingdom of heaven, when you embody it, when you embody Jesus' true rebellious teachings and open-mindedness, this deviates from that whole concept of superhero miracles. And don't get me wrong, it's cool. It's beautiful parables. I love storytelling. It's awesome, but we need to look past that, because then it becomes a concept and it becomes some sort of fabricated story in a moment of time that we wish either we could be there or we wish it could be alive today. And in essence, it is alive today. But I want you to see Jesus as a human being for the sake of this bit, for the sake of this segment, for the sake of this movie. So, yeah, I'm convinced Jesus was born a human, and maybe even in a scandal, maybe even in shame. But that's not what makes him or this story legendary. His words calling us to peace, love, and kindness are the real force that changed the world, despite early Christians doing the exact opposite of what they preached by basically exterminating anyone that didn't agree with them and attempting to convert anyone that didn't agree with them, and basically deviating and leaving all sort of essence of God and spirituality just in the name of their ego, of that voice in their head that made them think that they're superior or better, when that's what we know. We know that religion isn't that. Excuse me, I'm reading copy from here and I haven't gone over it in quite some time. But anyway, what inspired this, besides the Pope's passing, was the profound spiritual author Stephen Mitchell. In his intro to the Gospel of Jesus, it cuts through all the fluff, which I love. He sees Jesus as a man, not a myth, and he's shaped by a harsh world of poverty and judgment. And I think the Pope would dig this movie, quite honestly. I mean, the Pope's passed, but there will be a new Pope, and we'll see how he is. Mitchell doesn't dwell on miracles, he zooms in on what Jesus taught. Now, let's get real. The Bible says that Mary was a virgin, blessed by God. But what if that's like a later story? What if Jesus was born because of infidelity, or even worse, rape? In ancient Judea, an unmarried pregnant girl was trouble. She was the ultimate slut, so to speak, as they would say. Whore, whatever it may be. Jesus might have grown up hearing the word mamzer, which means bastard, and hiss behind his back. That's not divine origin. That's a human struggle. That's what I'm trying to relate to, you guys. Imagine if Jesus didn't have superpowers. New people who just clicked in. Imagine that. Imagine if he was just a human. How much more relatable would his struggles be to you? And the empowerment of religion, of faith, it would unite people regardless, without the mysticism. And I love mysticism because I write a lot of mystic horror stuff. Here's the thing. Jesus didn't need a miracle to be great. A virgin birth makes him a fairy tale. A messy birth makes him one of us. If he was born in a scandal, say that Mary was assaulted or accused of cheating, that's good drama, man. That's a good movie. He'd know rejection from day one. Yet listen to what he says in Matthew 5:44. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Oh, think about that. Never thought I'd be quoting the Bible on this channel, but hey, this makes a great movie. A kid who might have been mocked, shunned, chooses love over hate. That's not God talking. That's a man who's felt pain and decided to rise above it. This is the ultimate story, the ultimate movie. Trust me, I'm shirtless and I have mala beads on. Imagine growing up with that stigma. Every sneer, every side eye, this could have made him just bitter. But instead, he says in Luke 6:27-28, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you. That's not divine magic, that's grit. His teachings of peace, love, and kindness, they're not fluffy platitudes. Listen, they're battle-tested choices from someone who knew what it was like to be less than. That's what I'm trying to open your mind to a different story of Jesus. Beyond the Passion of the Christ movie, beyond all of his supernatural powers, I want you to see Jesus as a human being. And that's what makes this story really great for anyone. It doesn't matter what religion you follow, because anyone who struggles and you see that on camera, you see that on film, you immediately relate to that, because everyone in this world goes through struggles. Everyone. If you're born, you're bound to suffer. And what does suffering bring, should you make it? Enlightenment, connection, unity, shared experience. Me talking to you right now. That's what it's bringing. And that's where it's brought me. Suffering, pain, sadness, sorrows, fears, anxiety, questioning life, questioning what man does to our beautiful planet and each other. That is what creates unity. Rising above thought, here talking to you from a grounded place and sharing these awesome movie ideas with you. These are battle-tested choices from someone who knew what it was like to be less than. If his birth was ordinary, maybe even out of shame, out of that rape or infidelity, could you imagine what Joseph, his father, well, not his father, but they say, it could have been his father in this story. It would have been shameful. And that makes his words hit harder. He wasn't handed power, he earned it from immense suffering. Let's make this movie, The Human Jesus. Act 1, Nazareth, a girl named Mary, pregnant and alone, rumors fly. Was it a Roman soldier or a betrayal? Joseph stands by her, but the village doesn't. Jesus is born in a stable, not holy, just rejected, a bastard. Act 2, he's a young man, stung by gossip, yet he says in John 13:34, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another. He's choosing love in a world that didn't love him back. And that's a fact. Act 3, he's preaching, healing, forgiving. Even as the cross awaits, he declares in Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. That's his climax. It's not a miracle, but a call to peace that outlives him. It really is. I know people might be turned off by me quoting the Bible, but these passages are very pivotal as to the message that I'm attempting to convey to you. Imagine the poster of Jesus weathered and resolute against the crimson sunset. His words were a miracle. Listen, this would be the perfect movie because it's grounded. It's real. Just like in Jesus' own words, do to others as you would do to them. I mean, come on. It says it in the words. Prove his power with his message, not his birth, not what he even did. I mean, yes, actions speak louder than words, but you got to, in order to embody the light, you need to be the light first. And you can't conceptualize the light because your mind can't wrap around it. Second, this movie is universal. A Jesus who overcomes shame to say, forgive and you'll be forgiven, speaks to anyone who's ever felt broken. And I would say the third, that it's cinematic and tense, and the village scenes with the quiet moments of Jesus wrestling with his past. I'm not one for period pieces, but I would definitely direct this, watch this, and it would be lovely. I would definitely connect the world because, as we know, Christianity has played an immense toll on the whole entire world and evolution as our culture, and both the good and bad polarities of the ego and mind, and the warped perception of hiding behind one nation under God, and how the ego uses that as a tool and as a power to control and propagandize, unfortunately. And that's not the truth of Jesus' teachings, nor is it the truth of religion itself or spirituality. No price tag can be put on spirituality or religion. So one of the most interesting things to me in this, obviously I'm reading from a copy that I wrote, one of the most interesting things is that in Mark 3:20 through 35, I don't know, I guess that's how you read it. I'm not a biblical scholar, don't cite me. Mary and Jesus' siblings try to seize him, thinking he's out of his mind. Jesus redefines his family with these words, who are my mother and my brothers, thus prioritizing those who do God's will over his own biological kin. So that kind of indicates a strain with his mom, Mary. How are people leaving? This is so fucking interesting to me, but hey, the right audience will stay. I checked and I researched, and I found that this would be the most relatable, interesting story of Jesus and of Christianity to be portrayed accurately, and also to reach a more broad audience so that it's not so dogmatized, because that's the problem with a lot of religions. The whole point of a great spiritual teacher is that all of their teachings encompass every single spiritual religion some way or another. If you study the history of religions, everything's birthed from something, whether it be those who worship the pulsing stars, whether it be those who who worship the earth and the dirt and plants. Everything sort of molts into and develops one another. So listen, I don't think Jesus needed to be. I don't think his birth needed to be divine to matter because his words are proof enough. And when he says in Mark 12:31, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself," he's not floating on a cloud. He's standing in the dirt, knowing what it's like to be despised, and that's why peace, love, and kindness are his essence. And a movie like this wouldn't just tell his story; it challenges us to live his words. If a man born in shame out of rape or infidelity could say, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone," what's stopping us from choosing love today? That making a human Jesus, that's the gnarliest fucking thing ever, dude. Because him walking on water and all these metaphorical parables of healing the blind, maybe he did, I don't know. But more importantly, if you can make a human being into a human being, it makes it more relatable and creates a more harmonious world. And that's what we're about. That's what making movies that matter is about. Those of you who are still here, make sure you click that subscribe button. We're making movies that matter. I have really great movies that matter on this channel. Independent films that are pointing out our culture and society, and to my own personal experiences and growing from my artistic creations and sharing them with you in the process. So please subscribe, like, share if you dig what I'm saying. This is not a religious or faith-based channel, though it is a deeply spiritual channel. And in times in my work, I always have a deeply spiritual essence to it. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that Jesus's humanity makes his words hit harder if we took away the supernatural Wolverine-like force of him and made him into a human being, made him not an immaculate conception birth, but rather a birth out of rape or infidelity? That's pretty crazy. And that's pretty edgy. And that's pretty grounding. And him being bullied growing up because of that? The true Jesus? I don't know. Maybe the true Jesus. Would the human Jesus move you guys? You can let me know in the comments. That would help. I'm all ears. I love to know what you guys think about my ideas and concepts. This is just something that resonated with me with the Pope's passing. I wanted to talk about it. I didn't want to shoot a video on it and edit it, but I wanted to talk about it live, uncensored and raw. But anyway, smash that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs it, because I greatly appreciate you watching my content and sharing it with people. But the next one, this is the next one. Let's talk about Israel. So something that irked me that I feel doesn't get talked enough about is Israel's government's the Israeli government pull on the United States government. And recently, with the Epstein files not being released, which is supposed to be released, it really makes you question who's on the list. Like, really, who is on the list? People fucking left after hearing that? Dudes, you guys need to wake up, because this is vital for our culture and society. Those of you who just click in here, hear what I have to say, and bounce the fuck out, I suggest you listen, because what I'm going to tell you is important. Not just to me, but to society and to the world as a whole, because we're living in a society. We're living in a culture. We're living in an economy. We're born into it. We're born into a government. We're born under a government, regardless of whether we like it or not. And now, in recent days, things have been going fucking crazy. And now, luckily, things have been exploited and shared with us by way of Doge and all these different things. Yet for some reason, people are going out burning Teslas, because that makes sense. What is that doing again? Besides being brainwashed by some crazy party that just advocates for violence and lack of freedom while pretending that they're fighting for freedom. It does absolutely nothing. But why I'm talking about this, after talking about the human Jesus with the Pope's passing and how that would make the ultimate movie, I think this would make a gnarly movie too, because this doesn't get talked about enough. Because I recently saw that Virginia Giuffre, I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm messing up her name, she recently supposedly died of suicide, okay? So this is an Epstein victim who survived. She was in a car crash that was rather cryptic a few weeks ago, and apparently she ended her life on April 25th, yesterday. So it makes me ask questions, because too many weird things happen. When Epstein was in prison and no cameras were on, and all of a sudden this dude committed suicide. Too weird, right? If you have common sense, you got to question that. Would it make an awesome movie to touch upon these matters? Yeah, I would do it. I would direct it. I would cast it. I'd film it in a second, and it'd be great. A very Oliver Stone-esque sort of picture, movie, because he makes movies that matter, synonymous with my values. We make movies that matter. But anyway, with Virginia Giuffre's passing, her alleged suicide, I wanted to question things about the Epstein files, about the Israeli government's pull on the United States government, and just too many of these things are just so questionable that you can't even talk about them. You can't wrap your mind about it, because sometimes you wonder if there's hope for our society with the new administration, with what's going on, because it's definitely better than what it would have been should another party have gotten in 100%. And again, this isn't a political sort of channel, nor is it a religious channel. We make movies that matter to awaken and entertain society with purposeful entertainment. So if you like that, click the subscribe button. We've just surpassed 10,000 subscribers. 10,000 subscribers. Huge. I haven't been doing the YouTube marketing for a long time, but what I have been doing is hustling and making movies for a long time for you guys. So it's paid off because I'm reaching a bunch of people. Even though this fucker just left, but hey, it's okay. So I want to talk about March 2025. Trump officials accidentally leaked plans for Yemen. Some of you guys might know about this. Airstrikes via signal, exposing targets, and internal debates to a journalist. So the March 15th strikes killed 53 people, including civilians, targeting Houthi rebels, disrupting the Red Sea shipping. So that's what they were doing. On April 1st, 2025, Israel filed a world central kitchen. Oh, they fired. My bad. Yes, that was another thing that irked me. These notes are a little old, so forgive me. I haven't checked them until now, so this is live. This is all live what I'm doing for you. So April 1st, April Fools. This is an April Fool's joke. 2025, Israel fired on a World Central Kitchen convoy in Gaza, killing 7 aid workers despite coordination, intensifying criticism of its blockade actions. And both events fuel Middle East tensions, which we know are rising, unfortunately, between China. China always wants to attack everything, Russia, this and that, including South Park. Some say their president looks like Winnie the Pooh. I don't know. I don't know what the guy looks like, but that's just what I hear. Both events are fueling Middle East tensions, and the Houthis citing that Gaza as a justification for attacks prompting U.S. retaliation. So I'm all about hypocrisy. Apparently, I think some of these people that passed in the accidental Israel fire were children, and if that had happened, if the shoe was on the other foot, let's say if that was Palestine doing it, the United States would be on that, and like they killed innocent children, this and that. So I don't like hypocrisy. No one deserves to die. Everyone deserves peace. Peace should be at the forefront of all the leaders of this country and throughout the world. Everyone should seek peace more so than anything, because people are unnecessarily suffering due to war because of greed, because of greed, really, and false justifications of the ego. So today I want to rip the mask off a story that's been buried under a pile of lies. Israel, Big Pharma, and the COVID vax push in the United States. You guys remember that when everyone's like, oh my God, Israel's vaccinating their people so fast, so quickly. And they felt it was about science. But as we know, due to the COVID papers and Fauci's blatant admittance of his lies, we know that's not the case. So it's about money and power, and it's a rigged scheme. And it's my opinion, but stick with me because I'm about to break this down real and raw. Michael Angel Loayza Jr. style. That's me. Hit the subscribe button. We're making movies that matter. I'm an independent filmmaker, writer, actor, and director. I've been in Netflix movies. I've been in my movies. We got movies distributing on Tubi and an array of other platforms, even in Asian countries. Maybe somehow in China, if they allow my sort of rebellious personal experience to be showcased in my movies. But we know China sort of writes all the Marvel movies and accepts morally what can be shown and what can't, because if it, opposes communist culture, they don't like it. But yet, the World Health Organization, all these different United States organizations, affiliations, previous United States organizations and affiliations, were in cooperation with the Chinese Communist Party to cover up where the COVID came from. Do you remember that? This is edgy talking about this on YouTube, but the facts are all there now, so this isn't a matter of opinion anymore. A lot of these things have been concluded by our own government. So I want to talk about this. This would make an awesome movie. Just like, as I said, the Human Jesus would be the ultimate Jesus movie. Now that the Pope has passed, it sort of inspired me to want to talk to you about this. This is a separate topic involving Epstein, his one of his victims that recently passed, and by suicide, which is always weird, just like his death by suicide with no cameras, and his immense list of most likely very notable, famous, powerful political people and famous people on his list that for some reason we still haven't seen, despite Trump supposedly trying to declassify it along with the Kennedy files, which we still don't know who assassinated Kennedy, even though we know it wasn't that dude Lee Harvey Oswald. So it's like it's always like a fucking circle. It makes no sense. You want to know answers, but there are no answers. We'll give you answers, but we have to redact this and black out this. It makes you question everything and believe nothing. Skepticism. That's why we need it. So check this. Israel is a tiny little spot on the map and becomes the golden boy of the COVID vaccines. You guys remember that? Pfizer's CEO, Albert Bourla, straight up calls the world's laboratory. That's what they're calling it back at the time. Why? Because they cut the deal. This is a movie idea. It has to be a movie idea because it can't be fact. Because if it's fact, then YouTube may just, you know what that means? Being vague and cryptic because of the algorithm always listening. I know, it's creepy. So they cut a deal. Israel gets the shots early. Pfizer gets their hands on every citizen's health data. And boom, just like that, 9 million people turn into lab rats. This is a movie idea. This is my concept for a film. And guess what? That dates the same crap that they used to shove down America's throat. Oh, the data. I'm sorry, the date. I'm reading this. I'm sorry. I haven't read this in a while. But anyway, so that data is the same stuff that they use to shove down our throats, Americans. That's where I'm talking from. I'm from Jersey. I'm in Jersey. Do you guys smell that? Big Pharma cooking the books like the mafia? Speaking of which, in New Jersey, there was a mafia ring that apparently just got taken down for gambling and all these different things. 40 some odd people, illegal gambling. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, back to the real story. All right, so let's talk cash. Israel's not just some random player. They got Teva, which is the biggest generic drug maker on the planet. So Teva is the biggest drug generic. So Teva is the biggest generic drug maker on the planet, and they're headquartered in Tel Aviv. And they're pulling in billions. So this is in Israel. This is why I'm sort of building as to why Israeli politics, Israeli government might have a pull on the United States government, because it seems to be very much factualized now. But that's my opinion. You can let me know what you think in the comments. So then you got Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and they're all setting up shop there, building labs in Israel, pumping money in. And they're not chilling the desert for fun. It's a biotech cash cow. Exports hit 1.84 billion in 2024 alone. It's a lot of money, dude. And when Pfizer needed a win, Israel delivered. Perfect stats to sell their shots. Do you guys remember that? Coincidence? No, that's a hustle. They're hustling. So imagine a movie that exploits all this. Imagine a movie that that had a character, let's say a spy in United States government and a spy in Israel government. And maybe these spies had to congregate for some reason. And maybe morally they realized what their governments weren't doing something right. So maybe they had to join together in order to exploit these corrupt systems, in order to share to the world what's actually going on. So that's the conflict. And then throughout that journey, they're fighting off these bad guys, these bad people on bad sort of Mission Impossible task force people, trying to prevent them from leaking this purposeful information to share with the world, to show just what is going on behind the scenes, maybe to exploit this evil person's list of famous people that are on it and that did horrible, disgusting acts, kings, queens, everything. And I don't just mean pronouns. You guys get that joke? Maybe these people unite to help unify the world. Maybe that's part of our story. So now this is where it gets really dirty. So Israel's data has been 90% effective, right? That's what they used to say. Safe and effective, they scream. We know after what Fauci came forward, doesn't seem to be true. So studies from Credit Health, a government-backed tied to the Pfizer deal. Sounds legit. No, these researchers are pharma connected. Well, we all know case studies. A majority of case studies that are funded by pharmaceutical companies, we know that they're rigged in their favor because they want their drugs to be passed because they want to make money. Like this is just common sense, dude. So these numbers are always cherry picked. They're small country, tight records talking about Israel, and it makes things look flawless. But what about, do you guys remember that myocarditis in young guys that was buried, the long-term effects ignored? Yeah, in our movie, we're not going to ignore them. Our heroes are going to exploit this, which is pretty awesome. I have to keep emphasizing on movie because I'm scared. Scared of the algorithm and censoring me because it's happened before on my channel. But again, we're making movies that matter to awaken society. So if this vibes with you, click the fucking subscribe button. I just saw people leave. I don't like it. I don't like when people leave me. Don't leave me. Meanwhile, the US, Fauci and CDC, even freaking Men's Health. Yeah, Men's Health, they're a propaganda machine for seemingly the left and not the good left. They're parroting this like it's a gospel. It's not science. It's not they lie. It's not science. It's a sales pitch. So anyway, so how does this hit us? I'm going to explain to you the connection between Israel and America as I read this Israel Big Pharma script for the first time ever, which is why I'm slurring, stuttering, trying to figure out the pacing I formulated this with some of Grok's research. So how does this hit us? Israel's proof lands in America, and bam, Pfizer and Moderna cash out on 39 billion from Uncle Sam by 2022. That's right, they did pay out that much money of our money, tax-paying money, to Pfizer and Moderna. Funny. And media's like Men's Health, owned by Hearst, I don't know who the fuck that is, who's all about profit, pumps out articles about vaccines are safe and Israel says so. Oh, I guess they did do that. That's pretty gnarly. So the CDC greenslight shots for kids, mandates for you and for me. I still see those commercials on TV. Wow. Oh my God. Are we free? No, I don't think so. We're just living under a world that is sheltered by a money-bearing tree. You like that? I didn't write that. That's all improv. Poet in my blood. I know. It's beautiful. So the CDC, we know about them. Independent studies like Sweden showing that the shots fade. Oh, they're swept under the rug. I remember that. This is all like going back to the past, but it's all so prevalent right now. So they sold us out, and Israel was like the Trojan horse. That's what they painted that picture. So in my movie, Israel would be this hero during a time, a dystopic time when a virus was introduced upon the public, uh, well, voluntarily, but in our story, for the sake of picture, we don't know it, and one of our heroes is trying to exploit the story that, well, they're trying to exploit the story of the pandemic deriving from not a lab leak, but rather from someone purposely leaving it in a communal setting, in a farmer's market setting, wherever, in whatever country it may be. I know it's vague, but it's not. So let's talk real here. In my movie, Israel's tied to Big Pharma tighter than you think. The Teva, Pfizer deals, the whole biotech grind, their COVID success wasn't just about saving lives, it was about politics and profit. Netanyahu needed a W. What's a W? Pharma needed a win. Dude, some of this slang, I don't talk like this. Pharma needed a billboard, and we got stuck with a bill. That's a fact. We know the American tax-paying citizens who funded all of these that we now know horrible experiments that seem to be doing more harm than good. Yeah, the American taxpayers are paying it involuntarily and seeing no return. They're the investors that saw nothing back. Interesting, right? Subscribe! Hit that subscribe button for those of you who just turned in. We're making movies that matter to awaken society and make features, shorts, all good stuff. This is just me celebrating our 10,000 subscribers. I haven't been marketing on YouTube for quite some time, but I have been making movies for over a decade. And we're making lovely movies, comedies, dramas, psychological thrillers, horrors. They're fucking awesome. I put my heart and soul into them, and we're looking to get those big Netflix bucks to make bigger productions. And with your help and with your insight and you telling me what you guys would like to see in a movie, it's only going to help us, and it's going to help me connect to you guys and connect to the rest of the world by way of making purposeful entertainment to awaken society. So click that subscribe button, give a comment, share. Oh, I should have the chat open. I don't even know if you guys are trying to talk to me. I'm sorry if that's the case. If I'm not, let me go to this. Let me go and see if anyone's talking. I'll be happy if I got some messages in here. Let's see, where is the chat? How do you get to the chat? Oh, no one's in the chat? No one said anything? Shit. I don't like that. You guys should be talking to me. All right, let's finish up this Israel Pharma segment. So now, yada yada yada. So we know in our movie that the data, everything, the coerced and crooked case studies that Big Pharma pays for and endorses and basically skews information in order to get their drug passed, in order to make the most amount of money, because they don't want to be questioned, they don't want to be stopped. So that's why they fund academic institutions, they fund all these places that they do these studies on these pills, and they bypass them. They bypass the immense amount of side effects, though they list them on public advertisements at the end. Well, may have thoughts of suicide. These depression pills will help you and make you a happier person, but side effects include thoughts of suicide, manic thoughts, murdering a puppy, and chronic diarrhea. You know, we all hear it. You can't shut it off. You hear it in the background. It's absurd. I don't know how people could even try or feel comfortable taking these things, but hey, who knows? Who's paying for it? All right. Oh, that's it. Wow, I finished that. So the moral of the story is, what do you guys think about the Israel government affecting the United States government? Because in my movie, in this conceptualized movie, uh, as far as all of these big pharmaceutical companies that are affiliated in Israel and with Israel and the immense amount of powers that they have, I know 1 billion, over 1 billion a year isn't much in the grand scheme of things in the world and the United States government, but at the same time it is, because that's a sort of long-term effect. In other words, all of these companies, all these corporations, what they do affect everyone and everything long term. All of their investors, all of the money from the United States uh, tax-paying governments, it affects long term, because all of these horrible, potentially, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor by any means, I have to cite that, all these horribly endorsed, propagandized bandages of drugs, they are used for long-term inadverse long-term poor health effects for the people. In other words, if people get sick, if people stay sick, it's a it's a lifetime of money, of cash, health insurance. It makes the circle go, that makes the circle continue to go around. In the United States, especially because we don't have socialized medicine, so it's important for people to stay sick and remain sick, because it makes them money. You know, it's a cold fact. In other countries, socialist countries, they don't want people sick because they're not making money off the healthcare system. So in our movie of this corruption of a moment in time when this country stood as this archetype, as this basically as this hero for the rest of the world, when they're like, we're getting all of our people vaccinated with this experimental gene thing, and everyone's health is going to be safe. We're the best country in the world. We train our people as soon as they're in high school. They're going to military school to protect the country and this and that. So them being this false hero for the United States back then is very prevalent now, because their insight, what their power over the United States government is very blatant. It's 100%. If you have common sense and you can rationally look at why things are being shown, why Epstein's list isn't out, and how that affects Hollywood politics and the powers throughout the world, why his girlfriend, why one of his victims recently supposedly committed suicide a little after some weird car crash happened, why these things are happening and people aren't questioning them. This woman also, I think, if I recall right, she had said that one of the kings or princes was on his list, or something like that. Feel free to fact check me or correct me in the comments or chat. It would help immensely, because I'm not an expert on this, but I do feel a lot of these things would make lovely, purposeful movies to awaken society. Um, and it just shows you control that a government has on a nation, in my opinion, because something's weird. If things were intended to be released by, by Trump, which he said they were going to be released, and some things have been, some things have not, for instance, the JFK files, no one knows who did it still, which makes no sense to me. But the Epstein files, yeah, what are they? How much stuff are they redacting? What are they not showing, and why? You know, when you say you're going to release something, shouldn't you just release it right away to the public so they know? But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. So, as a filmmaker, what we have to do is we have to take all of the data. We have to take literally all of the data, unbiased data, and use it and critically think, analyze, and with our common sense and our deep spiritual connection to one another, formulate a great conclusion, a great story, a great arc in order to showcase people where and why this is either wrong morally, why we can't allow this to keep happening within our culture and society, why we can't keep allowing money to run us as a nation in the United States, as as people throughout the world. We can't allow money, we can't allow greed in order to make our actions. We can't allow, because it's always going to be corrupt, as we've learned. And that's why making movies that matter, making movies about topics like these and showcasing truth is the utmost important. Because without cinema, without filmmaking, you don't really have anything. People love movies. People like to mindlessly watch things. But what they don't realize while they're mindlessly watching a beautifully well thought film, that film is permeating their subconscious, and it's adding a dimension to the reality that they may not yet know. But it manifests to the rest of the world regardless. And I assure you, when you make a film, when you make a movie that matters, it awakens society. If you have that devout true purpose beyond ego to promote unity and harmony, to exploit corrupt institutions and corrupt nations, corrupt governments, Israel government, United States government, there's all fragments of corruption. There's also all good people too in all different places. And to promote peace, love, and harmony. That's a movie that speaks to everyone, that speaks to the world, that exemplifies what it is to truly be human. And that is literally, again, going back to our ultimate movie of Jesus, to embody peace, love, and kindness, which is why the ultimate movie of Jesus is to make him a human being, not of immaculate conception, but of infidelity or rape. Gnarly. Yeah, maybe Mary slept with a Roman soldier. Maybe she was involuntarily assaulted by a Roman soldier, and Jesus was birthed out of that and was bullied for his whole life. And that's how he had to develop that deep spiritual growth, and that's what made him the rock star, rebellious rock star that he is today. Or maybe it's Israel's affiliation with big pharmaceutical companies, and that has an immense amount of power over the United States government. Anyway, movies like that, that's what we want to see. But what I'm making now, this is the most important thing ever. Rest in peace, bed and breakfast. You guys ever see the movie Clue? Have you seen the movie Clue? It's basically like, well, it's a board game. It's a murder mystery, a whodunit murder mystery. Anyway, Rest in Peace, Bed and Breakfast is like if Clue and Pineapple Express had a baby. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's funny. We're going to be filming it and getting ready for pre-production. I'm casting the actors, memorizing my lines because I'm an actor in it. And it's going to be hilarious. If you want to watch other movies that we've produced on this channel, click the link below. I have a few links. I have a few different movies, so check them out. Subscribe, like, comment, share. It helps me so much when you guys comment. Now that we've surpassed 10,000 subscribers, I would only like to grow more. And with your support, I know we can do that. And we can get to 1 million, 2 million. If we get to 100 million, that'd be, reflecting back, if we get to 100 million subscribers in the near future, that'd be pretty gnarly. So we shall see. With that being said, I'm done. We've been doing this for an hour. If you guys have any questions, no one's talked? No one said anything in this chat? Oh my gosh. Oy vey. Well, this isn't peak time too. I went on a little early. Sometimes it happens. But it's okay. Anyway, thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing, and for talking about some concepts and to celebrating our 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Feel free to check out our other movies. I got movies streaming on Tubi. I got our movies for free on YouTube. And yeah, enjoy them. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. What do you want to see produced? What do you want to see made? Do you think some of the stories that I mentioned here today would make valuable movies that Hollywood or Michael Loayza's Hollywood should produce these? Or get money from big corporations like Netflix and all these different things that are coming to New Jersey and, fund their movies. Anyway, thank you again. I'm going to end this. I know it's funny, but have a good one. Peace and love to you. Enjoy the what day is it? Saturday? Yeah, Saturday. Enjoy the Saturday. I'm fingering my phone, consensually fingering my phone, trying to find the X. Bye-bye. Have a good day.